Lee Hyun stared at the red warning lights flashing across his ship's control panel. His cargo freighter, Soul's Dream, drifted slowly through space near a bright blue moon. The navigation computer had broken 3 hours ago, leaving him lost in an unfamiliar star system. Great, Hyun said to himself, running his hands through his black hair. Just great. He was 28 years old and had been flying cargo ships for 5 years. This was supposed to be a simple job: deliver supplies to Mining Station 7 and return home. Easy money. But now his ship was damaged, and he had no idea where he was. The ship's scanner showed a large moon ahead with cities and spaceports. At least he could land there and get repairs. Hyun guided his ship toward the moon's surface, hoping the people there would be friendly. The moon was beautiful. Crystal towers reached high into the purple sky, and strange plants with silver leaves grew everywhere. Flying vehicles moved between the towers like colorful birds. Hyun had never seen anything like it. He landed his ship at a busy spaceport. Tall, thin aliens with shiny blue-green skin walked around the landing area. They looked at his small human ship with curiosity but did not seem afraid. That was good. Hyun stepped out of his ship and looked around. The aliens were much taller than him, maybe 7 feet tall. Their skin changed colors slightly as they moved, like oil on water. They wore flowing robes in bright colors: red, gold, and purple. A friendly alien approached him. It had large golden eyes and spoke in broken human language. "Welcome, small friend," the alien said. "You need help?" "Yes," Hyun replied. "My ship is broken. I need repairs." The alien nodded. "Ship repair take 3 days. You stay here, yes? Big celebration happening. You come. Be welcome guest." Hyun looked around. Now that the alien mentioned it, he could see decorations everywhere. Colorful banners hung from the crystal buildings. Music played in the distance. People seemed excited and happy. "What kind of celebration?" Hyun asked. "Big happy time. Very important." "You come, you see," the alien said, then walked away before Hyun could ask more questions. With 3 days to wait for repairs, Hyun decided to explore. He followed the crowds of aliens through the crystal city. The buildings were amazing. They seemed to be made of living crystal that glowed softly from within. The streets were clean and filled with the sound of alien music. The crowds led him to a huge building that looked like a palace made of blue crystal. Thousands of aliens gathered outside, all wearing their best clothes. Banners with strange writing covered the walls. Hyun tried to read the banners, but the writing looked like flowing water. He could not understand any of it. But everyone seemed so happy and welcoming. When he got close to the palace, aliens smiled at him and pointed toward the entrance. "Come, come," they said in their language. Some of them knew a few human words. "Guest honor, you come." Hyun felt confused, but did not want to be rude. These aliens had been kind to him. If they wanted him to join their celebration, he would try to be polite. Inside the palace, everything was even more beautiful. The walls were covered with glowing crystals of every color. Soft music played, and the air smelled like flowers. Hundreds of aliens filled a great hall, all facing toward a raised platform at the front. Aliens guided Hyun to a seat near the front. They gave him a beautiful robe to wear over his simple pilot uniform. The robe was heavy and made of some kind of shiny material that felt smooth like water. "For you, honored guest," an alien said, helping him put on the robe. Hyun still did not understand what was happening, but everyone was being so nice. He sat down and watched as the ceremony began. Music filled the hall. Beautiful, strange sounds, unlike anything from Earth. Aliens in fancy robes walked onto the platform. In the center stood the most beautiful alien Hyun had ever seen. She was tall like the others, but her skin was a soft silver color that sparkled in the light. She wore a dress made of what looked like liquid starlight. A crown of glowing crystals sat on her head. Her golden eyes were sad, but she stood straight and proud. This had to be someone very important, Hyun thought. Maybe a leader or a rich person's daughter. The ceremony continued with lots of talking in the alien language. Hyun could not understand the words, but he could tell this was something very serious and important. Everyone in the hall was completely quiet and respectful. Then, something strange happened. An alien in fancy robes, probably some kind of priest, started looking around the room. He said something that sounded like a question. All the aliens looked around too, as if searching for someone. The priest spoke louder, asking the same question, again. The beautiful alien woman on the platform looked worried. She said something back to the priest, but he shook his head. Hyun started to feel uncomfortable. Something was wrong. The happy mood in the room was changing to worry and fear. The priest called out the question a third time, very loudly. This time, Hyun heard what sounded like his planet's name mixed in with the alien words. Were they talking about humans? About him? Confused and wanting to help, Hyun stood up. Maybe they needed to know that a human was present. Maybe they had never seen a human before and were curious. The moment he stood, the entire hall went silent. Every alien eye turned to look at him. The beautiful woman on the platform stared at him with wide, shocked eyes. The priest smiled and said something that sounded happy and excited. Two aliens rushed forward with small crystal boxes. Before Hyun could ask what was happening, they opened the boxes and pulled out two matching crystal necklaces. "Wait," Hyun said. But no one seemed to understand his words. The aliens put one crystal necklace around his neck and gave him the other one. They pointed to the beautiful woman on the platform. Everyone was smiling and clapping now. Hyun looked at the crystal around his neck. It was warm and seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat. He looked at the matching crystal in his hand, then at the woman on the platform. She was walking toward him now, her face showing a mix of surprise, fear, and something else he could not identify. When she reached him, she held out her hand. Not knowing what else to do, Hyun put the matching crystal necklace around her neck. The moment both crystals touched their skin, they began to glow brightly. The priest said something in a loud, happy voice. All the aliens cheered and clapped. Music played, and colorful lights filled the hall. The beautiful alien woman looked at Hyun with wide, golden eyes. "Do you understand what just happened?" she asked in perfect human language. "No," Hyun replied, honestly. "I have no idea." She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them again, she looked sad, but also a little amused. "You just became my husband," she said quietly. "And I have no idea who you are." Hyun stared at the beautiful alien woman who had just told him they were married. His mind felt blank, like someone had turned off all his thoughts. "Married?" he said slowly. "But I don't even know your name." "I am Princess Nara, of the Kethani Empire," she replied, her golden eyes still wide with shock. "And you are?" "Lee Hyun. I'm a cargo pilot from Earth. I was just trying to be polite." He looked down at the glowing crystal around his neck. "Can we undo this?" Before Princess Nara could answer, the great hall suddenly filled with angry shouts. The happy music stopped. Aliens were pointing at something near the entrance. Through the palace doors walked another group of aliens, but these were different. They were shorter and broader than the Kethani, with dark red skin and black markings on their faces. They wore armor instead of fancy robes, and they looked very angry. Leading them was an alien who was clearly their prince. He was bigger than the others, with golden armor and a cape made of some kind of black fur. His red eyes burned with rage as he looked at Hyun and Princess Nara. "What is the meaning of this?" the red-skinned prince shouted in the Kethani language. Princess Nara quickly translated for Hyun. "He says he is Prince Vex of the Talmor system. He was supposed to marry me today. He wants to know why I married someone else." The Kethani priest who had performed the ceremony looked terrified. He spoke quickly to Princess Nara, his hands shaking. "The priest says he thought you were the chosen groom," Princess Nara told Hyun. "There were supposed to be two grooms here today, Prince Vex and a representative from a new alliance partner. When Prince Vex was late and you stood up, he thought you were the representative. But I'm just a lost cargo pilot," Hyun said weakly. "Try explaining that to him." Princess Nara pointed at Prince Vex, who was now shouting at a tall Kethani man wearing a crown. That had to be the king, Hyun realized. Princess Nara's father, King Theron, looked old and tired as he listened to Prince Vex's angry words. Then he spoke to his daughter in their language. Princess Nara's face went pale. What did he say? Hyun asked. He says the marriage cannot be undone. The bonding crystals have accepted both of us. In our law, this makes us married forever. Breaking it would mean death for both of us. Hyun felt his stomach drop. Death? The crystals are alive, in a way. They bond to our life force. If we try to break the marriage bond, the crystals will take our lives with them. Prince Vex heard this and became even angrier. He drew a sword from his side and pointed it at Hyun. He challenges you to combat, Princess Nara translated, her voice shaking. Winner takes me as wife. But I don't know how to fight with swords, Hyun said. That will not matter to him. King Theron spoke again, trying to calm Prince Vex down. But the red-skinned prince would not listen. He kept shouting and waving his sword. More Talmor soldiers entered the hall. Soon there were dozens of them, all armed and ready to fight. The Kethani guards moved to protect their king and princess, but they were outnumbered. This could start a war, Princess Nara whispered to Hyun. The Talmor have a huge army. If Prince Vex feels dishonored, he might attack our worlds. Hyun looked around the hall. Everyone was scared. The happy celebration had turned into a nightmare, and it was all his fault. He had to do something. Wait, he said loudly, stepping forward. Everyone wait. The hall went quiet. All eyes turned to him, the small human who had caused this mess. I'm sorry, Hyun said, speaking slowly so the translator could repeat his words. I didn't mean to marry anyone. I was just trying to be polite. But now we have a problem, and fighting won't solve it. Prince Vex sneered and said something harsh. Princess Nara translated. He says you are a coward who hides behind words. Maybe, Hyun replied calmly. But I'm also someone who solves problems for a living. Every day, I deal with broken ships, angry customers, and impossible schedules. I always find a way to make things work. He looked at Prince Vex, then at King Theron, then at Princess Nara. You want to fight me? Fine. But let's fight smart, not stupid. Give me 1 day to learn your rules and customs. Then we fight fairly according to your laws. If I win, the marriage stands and our peoples can be friends. If you win, you can marry Princess Nara and I'll find another way to break the crystal. Bond. Prince Vex looked confused. He had expected the human to beg for mercy or run away. He spoke to one of his advisors. He asks what makes you think you can win against him, Princess Nara translated. You are small and weak. Hyun smiled. I'm human. We're good at figuring things out. King Theron spoke with his advisors for several minutes. Finally, he nodded. My father agrees to your proposal, Princess Nara said. But the combat must happen tomorrow. Prince Vex's honor demands quick satisfaction. 1 day is enough, Hyun replied, though inside he wondered if he was making a terrible mistake. Prince Vex sheathed his sword and spoke again. He says he will wait 1 day, but if you try to run away, he will hunt you down and kill you slowly. I understand, Hyun said. I won't run. The Talmor soldiers left the hall, but Hyun knew they would be watching the palace. There was no escape. Now! As the crowd began to leave, Princess Nara stayed beside Hyun. Her golden eyes studied his face. Why did you do that? She asked. You could have asked my father to send you away under diplomatic protection. Now you might die tomorrow, Hyun thought about her question. Because running away would not solve the real problem. Prince Vex would still be angry. Your people would still be in danger of war. Sometimes the only way out is through. You are either very brave or very stupid, Princess Nara said. Probably both, Hyun admitted. But I have a plan. What plan? I need to learn everything I can about Talmor fighting customs, and I need to understand how they think. You said I'm small and weak compared to Prince Vex. That's true, so I can't fight him the way he expects. Princess Nara looked interested. What do you mean? On Earth, we have an old saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Prince Vex is bigger and stronger than me, but that might also be his weakness. I do not understand. Hyun smiled. You will tomorrow, but first I need your help. Can you teach me about your people's fighting techniques, and can you get me access to recordings of Talmor combat matches? Yes, but why would you want to learn our fighting style? You should learn theirs. I want to learn both. Then I can combine them in ways no one expects. Princess Nara was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. the first real smile Hyun had seen from her. "You really are planning something clever, aren't you?" "I hope so, because if this doesn't work, we're both in trouble." "We are already in trouble," she pointed out. "True, but now, we're in trouble together. And humans are very good at getting out of trouble when we work with others." Princess Nara looked at him with new respect. "Perhaps my accidental husband is not as helpless as he appears." "Don't get your hopes up, too." "Hi," Hyun said. "I'm still just a cargo pilot who got lost, but I'm a cargo pilot who doesn't give up easily." As they walked out of the Great Hall together, Hyun felt the weight of the glowing crystal around his neck. Tomorrow, he would face a trained warrior in combat, using weapons he had never held before. But tonight, he had work to do. After all, he had promised to solve this problem, and humans always kept their promises, even the impossible ones. Hyun spent the entire night watching videos of Talmor combat matches on Princess Nara's computer. His eyes burned from staring at the screen, but he kept watching. Every fight was important. Every move taught him something new. They always attack. "The same way," he told Princess Nara as the sun began to rise over the Crystal City. "Prince Vex's people are very strong and very fast, but they follow patterns." Princess Nara sat beside him, looking tired. She had stayed up all night helping him study. "What kind of patterns?" "Watch this." Hyun pointed at the screen. "See how the red fighter always starts with an overhead strike? And then he follows with 3 quick cuts from the right side. Every single Talmor warrior does the same basic sequence. That is their traditional fighting form," Princess Nara explained. "They learn it from childhood. It has served them well for thousands of years." "But it's predictable," Hyun said. "If I know what Prince Vex is going to do before he does it, I can be ready." "Being ready and being able to stop him are different things," Princess Nara warned. "He is much stronger than you." Hyun smiled and picked up a metal tool from his repair kit. "Strength isn't everything. Watch this." He showed her a simple physics trick he had learned as a cargo pilot. By using leverage and timing, he could redirect the force of a much heavier object. Instead of trying to stop it, he would guide it where he wanted it to go. "Interesting," Princess Nara said. "But Prince Vex will not be standing still like your tool." "No, but he will be moving in predictable ways, and that's even better." The time for the duel came too quickly. Representatives from dozens of alien species had arrived overnight to watch the combat. Word had spread across the galaxy about the human who had accidentally married alien royalty. The fighting ground was a large circle of smooth stone in the palace courtyard. Tall crystal walls surrounded it, with viewing platforms for important guests. Hundreds of aliens filled the seats, talking excitedly in their different languages. Prince Vex entered the circle wearing his golden armor. He carried a long, curved sword that glowed with energy. The blade could cut through almost any material. His red eyes burned with confidence as he looked at Hyun. Hyun walked into the circle wearing his simple pilot jumpsuit. Instead of a sword, he carried a small bag of tools from his ship's repair kit. The aliens in the audience laughed when they saw him. He looked like a mechanic going to fix a broken engine, not a warrior going to fight for his life. "Are you ready to die, little human?" Prince Vex called out in his rough voice. "I'm ready to solve a problem," Hyun replied calmly. King Theron stood and spoke to the crowd. Princess Nara translated for Hyun. "My father is explaining the rules. The fight continues until one fighter surrenders or cannot continue. No outside. Help is allowed. The winner takes me as wife." "Understand," Hyun nodded. The alien priest who would judge the fight walked to the center of the circle. He raised his hand, then brought it down quickly. "Begin!" Prince Vex immediately charged forward, his glowing sword raised high above his head. Just as Hyun had predicted, the Talmor prince started with an overhead strike, putting all his strength behind the blow. But when his sword came down, Hyun was not there. The human had rolled to the side and thrown something small onto the ground behind Prince Vex. It was a metal sphere from his toolkit, designed to hold lubricant for engine repairs. Prince Vex spun around to find his target, but his foot landed on the metal sphere. His heavy armor made him top-heavy, and the rolling ball under his foot sent him stumbling. Hyun did not attack. Instead, he threw another tool, a small device that created a bright flash of light. Prince Vex, who had been living underground, on a dark planet, was temporarily blinded. "Tricks!" Prince Vex roared. "Fight with honor!" "I am fighting with honor," Hyun replied, backing away as his opponent swung blindly with his sword. "I'm just not fighting stupidly." The crowd was silent now. They had expected to see a quick, brutal victory by the powerful Talmor prince. Instead, they were watching something completely different. Prince Vex's vision cleared, and he charged again. This time, he tried the 3 quick cuts from the right that Hyun had seen in every video. But Hyun had spent all night preparing for this exact sequence. As the first cut came toward him, Hyun dropped flat to the ground. The sword passed over his head. For the second cut, he rolled left. For the third cut, he rolled right and came up behind Prince Vex. But instead of attacking, Hyun threw a small device that stuck to Prince Vex's armor. It was an electromagnetic pulse generator designed to restart dead ship engines, but it worked on energy weapons too. Prince Vex's glowing sword suddenly stopped glowing. The energy blade flickered and died, leaving him with just a metal handle. "What did you do?" Prince Vex demanded. "I turned off your sword," Hyun explained. "It's a useful skill when you work with machines all day." Now Prince Vex was angry and confused. He threw the dead weapon away and pulled a backup sword from his belt. This one was just sharp metal, no energy but still deadly. He attacked again, faster than before. Hyun barely avoided the blade as it whistled past his ear. He was getting tired, and Prince Vex was adapting to his tricks. Hyun pulled out his last major tool, a gravity manipulator used for moving heavy cargo. He set it on the ground and activated it. Suddenly, Prince Vex felt much heavier. The device was increasing gravity in a small area around him, making his armor feel like it weighed twice as much. "More tricks," Prince Vex snarled. But Hyun could. See, he was struggling to move quickly now. "Not tricks," Hyun corrected. "Tools. Humans use tools to solve problems." But the gravity device was not perfect. It affected everything in the area, including Hyun. Both fighters were now moving slowly, like they were walking through thick water. Prince Vex realized this and smiled evilly. "Your trick hurts you too, little human, and I am still stronger." He was right. Even with the increased gravity, Prince Vex was more powerful than Hyun. The Talmor prince began walking steadily forward, his sword ready to strike. Hyun backed away, but he was running out of space. Soon he would hit the wall of the fighting circle. Then something went wrong with the gravity device. Hyun had pushed it too hard, and its power core started to overload. Red warning lights blinked on its surface. "Oh no," Hyun whispered. The device was going to explode. The blast would not kill anyone, but it would hurt both fighters badly. Worse, the energy feedback could damage the crystal walls around the courtyard. People in the audience could be hurt. Without thinking, Hyun ran toward the device. "What are you doing?" Prince Vex shouted. "Get back!" Hyun yelled to everyone as he grabbed the overloading device. "Everyone get back!" The device was burning his hands, but he held on tight. He needed to contain the explosion somehow. His mind raced through everything he knew about energy systems. Then he remembered something from his ship's safety manual. Emergency power cores could be safely discharged by connecting them to a larger energy system. Hyun looked at Prince Vex's armor. It was powered by an energy cell. Not very big, but maybe big enough. "I need your armor's power cell," Hyun shouted. "What? Why would I help you?" Prince Vex demanded. "Because if this thing explodes wrong, it could hurt people in the audience?" Prince Vex looked at the device in Hyun's burning hands, then at the crowds of aliens watching from the crystal platforms. His red eyes showed understanding. Without another word, Prince Vex ran forward and ripped the power cell from his chest armor. He threw it to Hyun just as the gravity device reached critical overload. Hyun caught the power cell and connected it to his device just in time. The dangerous energy flowed safely into the larger system, then discharged harmlessly into the ground. The explosion never came. The courtyard was safe. Hyun dropped the now-dead device and looked at his burned hands. Prince Vex stood across from him, breathing heavily. His armor was now powerless and much lighter. "You saved my people," Prince Vex said slowly. "I saved everyone," Hyun replied. "Including you. But you could have let me be hurt by the explosion. Then you would win the fight." Hyun shook his head. "Winning by hurting innocent people is not winning at all. It's just being cruel. The alien judge looked confused. He spoke to King Theron, asking what should happen next. Prince Vex walked over to where Hyun sat holding his injured hands. The tall, red-skinned warrior looked down at the small human who had just saved his life. "I withdraw my challenge," Prince Vex announced loudly. "This human has shown more honor than I have. He chose to protect others instead of winning for himself. Princess Nara could not have a better husband." The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. Prince Vex knelt down next to Hyun and spoke quietly. "I am sorry for my anger," he said. "I thought you had stolen my bride to insult me. Now I see you are just a good person who got lost." "I'm sorry your wedding was ruined," Hyun replied. "That wasn't fair to you." Prince Vex laughed, the first time he had smiled since arriving. "Perhaps it was not meant to be. Princess Nara and I barely know each other. Our marriage was arranged by others. But you risked your life to protect people you do not even know. That is the kind of person who deserves love." Princess Nara ran down from the viewing platform and knelt beside Hyun. Her golden eyes were bright with tears. "You incredible fool," she said softly. "You nearly died to save people who were laughing at you 5 minutes ago. It seemed like the right thing to do." 3 months had passed since the duel. Hyun's hands had healed completely, but his life had changed in ways he never could have imagined. He stood in the royal library, surrounded by thousands of crystal data tablets. Each one contained information about Kethani history, culture, and law. Hyun had been studying for hours every day, trying to understand his new role as an alien prince. "You do not have to learn everything in one day," Princess Nara said, as she entered the library. She carried a tray of food and looked worried about her husband. "I want to understand your people," Hyun replied, not looking up from the tablet he was reading. "If I'm going to live here, I should know how things work." "You learn faster than anyone I have ever met," Princess Nara said, sitting beside him. "The royal advisors are amazed. You understand our government systems better than some of our own nobles." Hyun finally looked up from his reading. "It's just like learning how different types of cargo ships work. Every culture has patterns and rules. Once you find the patterns, everything else makes sense." Princess Nara smiled. She had grown to love her husband's practical way of looking at complicated problems. Where other people saw only confusion, Hyun saw systems that could be understood and improved. "Speaking of patterns," she said, "we have received a message from the outer colonies. There is a sickness spreading there, and our doctors cannot stop it." Hyun set down his tablet immediately. "What kind of sickness?" "A plague that affects the lungs. Our people have trouble breathing and many have died. The colonial governor is asking for help, but our medical experts say there is nothing they can do." "Can I see the medical reports?" Hyun asked. Princess Nara looked surprised. "You are not a doctor." "No, but I've dealt with life support systems on ships. Breathing problems in enclosed spaces are something I know about." She brought him the reports on her personal computer. Hyun read through them quickly, his mind working through the information like he was diagnosing a broken machine. "This is interesting," he said after a few minutes. "The symptoms look familiar." "Familiar how?" "We had something similar happen on a mining station where I delivered supplies last year. The problem wasn't a disease. It was poisonous gas building up in the air recycling system. The sickness went away when they fixed their air filters." Princess Nara looked confused. "But our doctors tested for toxins. They found nothing dangerous." "Did they test for toxins that only affect Kethani lungs? Remember, your people have different biology than humans. Something that seems safe to human doctors might be deadly to your species." This idea had never occurred to the Kethani medical team. They had only tested for things that were known to be dangerous to their people. But the colonies were new worlds with plants and animals that had never been studied. "We should send a team to investigate," Princess Nara said excitedly. "We should go ourselves," Hyun replied. "I want to see the problem with my own eyes." 2 days later, they traveled to the colony world of Kethani 7. It was a beautiful planet covered with purple forests and silver rivers. But in the main city, Hyun could see that something was wrong. The streets were nearly empty. The few people walking around moved slowly and coughed frequently. Many wore breathing masks over their faces. The colonial governor, an old Kethani, named Bora, met them at the spaceport. He looked sick and tired. "Your Highness," Governor Bora said weakly, "I am grateful you came, but I fear there is little you can do. We have lost over 300 people to this plague." "Show me where people are getting sick," Hyun requested. Governor Bora led them through the city. Hyun noticed that the sickest people all lived and worked in the same area, near a large park filled with beautiful flowering trees. "Those trees are native to this world," Governor Bora explained. "We left them when we built the city because they are so lovely." Hyun walked closer to examine the trees. They had bright yellow flowers that smelled sweet. But when he looked carefully, he noticed something strange. "Princess Nara," he called. "Come look at this, but don't breathe too deeply." She joined him under the trees. "What do you see?" "Look at the flower stems. See that fine dust in the air? It's pollen, but it's much heavier than normal plant pollen. It's settling on everything instead of blowing away in the wind." "Is that bad?" Hyun nodded. "Heavy pollen means it has a different chemical makeup than regular pollen. For humans, this would probably just cause sneezing. But Kethani lungs are more sensitive than human lungs. This pollen might be poisonous to your people." They collected samples of the pollen and sent them to the medical team. Within hours, they had an answer. The pollen contained a chemical that was completely harmless to most species but deadly to Kethani respiratory systems. "But how do we fix this?" Governor Bora asked. "We cannot cut down all the trees. They are part of this world's ecosystem." "We don't need to cut them down," Hyun said. "We just need to filter the air better." He spent the next week working with human and Kethani engineers. Together, they designed air filtration systems that could remove the dangerous pollen from the city's atmosphere. They also created personal breathing devices that were more comfortable than the heavy masks people had been using. Within a month, the plague was completely gone. People returned to their normal lives, and no one else died. From the mysterious sickness, news of Hyun's success spread quickly across the galaxy. Other species began asking for help with their own unsolved problems. The human who married an alien princess was becoming famous as someone who could find answers when others could not. "You have a gift," Princess Nara told him one evening as they watched the sunset from their palace balcony. "It's not really a gift," Hyun replied. "It's just a different way of thinking. When you've spent years keeping old cargo ships working with spare parts and creativity, you learn to see problems differently. The Royal Council wants to make you an official advisor," Princess Nara said. "They want your help with other difficult situations." Hyun spent 3 days studying the scans of the Void Seeker ships. He barely ate or slept, his eyes burning from staring at computer screens. Princess Nara brought him food and tried to make him rest, but he refused to stop working. "There," he said suddenly on the third night. "I found it." Princess Nara looked at the screen, but she could only see confusing technical diagrams. "Found what?" "The pattern. Look at how their ships are built." Hyun pointed to different parts of the scan. "See these energy conduits? They all connect to a central core, and this core powers everything: weapons, shields, life support, engines." "That seems logical," Princess Nara said. "It is logical, too logical." Their ships are perfectly designed for maximum efficiency, but that also makes them vulnerable. How? If something happens to that central core, the whole ship stops working. It's like having one heart that controls everything. Very efficient. But if the heart stops, the whole body dies, Princess Nara finished. "Exactly. And I think I know how to stop their hearts." The next morning, Hyun called a meeting with King Theron, Prince Vex, and the military leaders of both species. Representatives from a dozen other alien races attended by video link. "The Void Seekers are coming to destroy us all," Hyun began. "Their technology is more advanced than ours. Their ships are bigger and more powerful. In a straight fight, we will lose." The alien leaders looked discouraged. This was not what they wanted to hear. "However," Hyun continued, "they have one major weakness. They think like machines. Perfectly logical, perfectly efficient, perfectly predictable." "How does that help us?" asked General Kale of the Kethani military. "Because we don't think like machines, especially humans. We're messy, unpredictable, and creative. We do things that don't make logical sense, and that confuses enemies who expect us to be rational. Prince Vex leaned forward. What do you propose? Hyun activated a holographic display showing the local star system. The Void Seekers are moving in perfect formation toward our most important planets. They expect us to defend those planets with everything we have. That's the logical thing to do. It is the logical thing to do, King Theron pointed out. Yes, but what if we don't? What if we do something completely unexpected? Hyun changed the display to show his battle plan. Instead of defending our worlds, we attack their supply lines. Instead of using our biggest weapons, we use our smallest ships. Instead of fighting them where they're strongest, we fight them where they don't expect us. The plan was crazy. Hyun wanted to take small, fast ships from all the different alien species and attack the Void Seeker fleet from behind. While the enemy was focused on the main planets, the small ships would target the central cores of their vessels. This is suicide, General Kale said flatly. Our small ships cannot penetrate their armor. They don't need to, Hyun replied. I'm not planning to shoot through their armor. I'm planning to go around it. He explained his real strategy. The Void Seeker ships were so big and complex that they needed many small openings for cooling, communication, and maintenance. These openings were too small for major weapons, but perfect for the tiny ships Hyun wanted to use. We send unmanned drone ships through these openings, Hyun said. The drones carry special devices that overload the central cores from the inside. The Void Seeker's own power systems will destroy their ships. Will this actually work? Prince Vex asked. I don't know, Hyun admitted. But it's better than waiting here to be destroyed. The alien leaders argued for hours. Some thought the plan was brilliant, others thought it was insane. Finally, King Theron made the decision. We will try the humans' plan, he announced. If we are going to die, let us die fighting. The next 3 days were a chaos of preparation. Engineers from dozens of species worked together to build the special drone ships. Pilots trained to fly in ways they had never attempted before. Weapons. Experts created new devices based on Hyun's designs. Princess Nara worked alongside her husband, coordinating the massive effort. She had never seen so many different species cooperating on a single project. Look at them, she said to Hyun during a brief rest. Keth-Ani, Talmor, Regelians, Centauri, species that barely spoke to each other a year ago, now working as one team. That's the real weapon, Hyun replied. Not the drones or the devices, the cooperation. The Void Seekers think in terms of conquest and domination. They don't understand working together as equals. On the 7th day, the Void Seeker fleet arrived. Their ships were even more impressive in person than in the scans. Each vessel was the size of a small moon, covered in weapons that could destroy entire planets. They moved through space like dark gods, silent and terrible. The largest ship sent another message to the gathered species. Your time is finished, the pale alien commander said. Surrender now or face extinction. King Theron responded on behalf of all the allied species. We choose to face extinction, he said calmly, but we will not face it alone. The battle began immediately. The Void Seeker ships opened fire with weapons that tore holes in space itself, but they were aiming at the planets, expecting to find the Allied fleets defending them. Instead, they found empty space. All the Allied ships were hiding behind asteroids and small moons, waiting for Hyun's signal. Now, Hyun whispered. 1,000 small ships launched from their hiding places. They came from every direction, above, below, and from the sides. The Void Seekers had never seen such a chaotic, unpredictable attack. Their defensive systems were designed to stop large, organized fleets. They didn't know how to handle swarms of tiny ships flying in seemingly random patterns. Stay unpredictable, Hyun broadcast to all pilots. Don't fly in straight lines. Don't follow the same path as the ship next to you. Be creative. The small ships danced through space like schools of fish, avoiding the Void Seekers' massive weapons. Most of the enemy fire missed completely because their targeting computers couldn't predict where the chaotic swarm would go next. Hyun flew his own small ship toward the largest Void Seeker vessel. Princess Nara sat beside him, operating the special equipment they had built together. There, she pointed to a small opening in the ship's hull. Maintenance port, just like you predicted. Hyun guided their ship through the opening and into the enemy vessel's interior. Inside, the ship was like a vast city of metal and crystal, all glowing with strange energy. They found the central core exactly where Hyun had expected it to be. It was a massive sphere of pure energy, beautiful and terrible at the same time. Place. The device here, Hyun told Princess Nara as he held their ship steady. She activated the overload device and attached it to the core's housing. Immediately, warning lights began flashing throughout the enemy ship. Time to go, Hyun said. They flew quickly back through the maintenance port and away from the Void Seeker ship. Behind them, the overload device was doing its work, causing the central core to consume more and more power until it couldn't handle the load. The enormous ship began to shake as its power systems went crazy. Then, with a flash of brilliant light, the central core exploded. The ship went dark and began drifting helplessly through space. All around the battlefield, other small ships were successfully completing similar missions. One by one, the mighty Void Seeker vessels were going dark. The pale alien commander appeared on communication screens throughout the Allied fleet. For the first time, he looked confused and frightened. "This is impossible," he said. "You are primitive species. You should not be able to defeat us." Hyun opened a communication channel and replied directly to the Void Seeker commander. "You're right, we are primitive," he said calmly, "but we're also something you're not." "What are you?" "We're friends. We work together instead of trying to dominate each other. And that makes us stronger than your perfect machines." Within an hour, half the Void Seeker fleet was disabled. The remaining ships began to retreat toward the edge of the star system, but Hyun wasn't finished. "Wait!" he broadcast to the fleeing ships. "You don't have to leave!" The Void Seeker commander's image reappeared, looking angry and confused. "What do you mean? Your ships are damaged. Your people are stranded far from home. Instead of trying to conquer us, why don't you let us help you?" "Help us? We are your enemies." "You were our enemies when you wanted to destroy us," Hyun corrected. "But now, you're just people who need help. We're good at helping people." Princess Nara smiled at her husband's words. This was so perfectly human, offering assistance to someone who had just tried to kill them. The Void Seeker commander was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. "Why would you help us after we tried to destroy you?" "Because that's what friends do," Hyun replied. "And maybe if we help each other, we can all be friends." 6 months later, the galaxy was a very different place. The Void Seekers had accepted the Alliance's offer of help. Their advanced technology, combined with the cooperative spirit of the younger species, was solving problems that had existed for thousands of years. Hyun and Princess Nara stood on the balcony of their palace, watching ships from dozens of species, coming and going from the spaceport below. "Do you ever miss your old life?" Princess Nara asked. "Flying cargo ships and solving simple problems?" Hyun thought about her question. "Sometimes. It was quieter then, but I think this is better."